to be closer to you, to walk by your side. Baba, oh Baba, won't you help me to see that you're as close to me as I let you be. My mind is so mortal, my flesh is so weak, my strength is all wasted on pleasures I seek. Come on your white horse and whisk me away. My longing near breaks me. How long must I stay? Can this be the answer that I'm longing for? That your divine spirit now knocks at my door. I'm coming to let you in, to taste your sweet presence, to let life begin. Baba, oh Baba, come nearer, oh please. I'll drink of your essence, I'll fall on my knees. Come be my sculptor, for I'm made of clay. Hold me and shape me in your divine way. Baba, oh Baba, I'm aching inside to be closer to you, to walk by your side. Baba, oh Baba, won't you help me to see that you're as close to me as I let you be, that you're as close to me as I let you be. Jai Baba. That's a song that Jeff sings. I stole it.
But it was Wower.
Angela, can I get lyrics for this? Kindly
Yeah,
send me on WhatsApp. Yeah,
Yes, I'll
I
send it
love
to you.
this song.
Yeah,
Love this song. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I need the chords and the music too. We'll all have a meeting where we all sing it.
Yes,
Yeah.
We'll make it wower.
we'll make it
I,
Wower.
I think
A
I
group
heard
Wower.
from Jeff. Yeah, I
I've
heard it from Jeff.
heard Jeff
Yeah.
Yeah.
singing that. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Marvin has a Francis Brabazon poem he wants to read.
It's very short.
It's very short.
But I think Jeff will cry while singing. He may not sing it. Oh, I love his tears. My God, it's very disturbing to me. Past 2 days, I heard this Fred talk, and oh, oh God. Uh,
Yeah, as you get older and you look back, you go through all these times and, and you're in the middle of them. But when you look back, you see,
yeah.
wow, how precious and, magnificent that was.
But all these old days, and not means just how I saw you so much taking care of even Madhusudan and all these Mandalay. That's really a great example. That really touches our heart. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. It's been great. Okay, so Marvin, is he going to read or is he just going to?
You guys are convincing
I'm
and
just
reminiscing over all the tears that we're going to cry when we hear you tell stories. Yeah.
Yeah, it's from the word at the world's end. How the glory of your brow is the light of our safe journeying. The love of your eyes is the mirror of our revealment, and the certainty of our arrival. How glorious you are as man, how helpless as God. So helpless you could not hide your godhood, even behind the walls of your pain. How very man you are, how absolutely God.
Marvin, can you read that again? That's just beautiful. Read it again.
Quite a dichotomy there, isn't it? How the glory of your brow is the light of our safe journeying. The love of your eyes is the mirror of our revealment, and the certainty of our arrival. How glorious you are as man, how helpless as God. So helpless that you could not hide your godhood, even behind the walls of your pain. How very man you are, how absolutely God.
Mm. Boy, that is prayer and a half.
Which book is this from, Marvin?
From the word at word's end.
Oh, nice. Okay. Beautiful. Wow.
Yeah.
This is always jaw-dropping. And you wonder, why do I bother trying to write? At least I understand. What a joke. I'm like, oh, okay, next.
Oh.
No, I realize that. Yeah. We're so blessed. And Jeff, thank you for the other day. Those stories.
Oh.
Ella.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was wonderful.
Oh.
Boy, I had no idea what how I was going to respond.
Speaking of
unbelievably amazing. Because I mean, I came much later. Well, they were gone. When Fred died, I graduated from 8th grade. So now you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were still eating graham crackers.
And peanut butter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Michael, can we have one of your poems just to start?
Of course. But which one?
Michael has written some wonderful, very touching poems. Oh, could you read this one about, even though you've read it before, but it's very touching about the ward, about the guy who had AIDS?
You want me to repeat myself?
I think it's just very touching. Okay. Listen to this one, because Michelle and Marvin haven't heard this. I don't know if Betty, I don't know if Kelly has. He's
anything for you, Jeff, anything. Okay. I arranged this by first lines also. Guzzle tea. That means it came before you. And right after S. That was a joke, but okay, forget it. I
guess, we got it. We got it.
I laughed.
Yeah. We're just on mute. Most of us.
They guzzle tea. It is in Ward 5 where Paul is lying, dying with tubes running up his nose. To give the extra oxygen his lungs cannot afford him, speaking of his father, his childhood somewhere in the Midwest. Every time he speaks, he takes off his oxygen mask, gasping, faintly rasping, etches the story of his life, of being afraid to tell his dad of him being gay, his family ashamed to visit him as he withers in the ward, stricken by a disease that stigmatizes them with failure. How can you forgive a child who has made you so wrong, who lets all the world know that you have failed as parents? Best to disown the child and let him die forgotten, than reach out past the prison in our minds that keeps us from each other and from simply loving. And so Paul languishes in his bed, feebly reiterating the outlines of his life before he shifted to the final ward, while a group of dedicated people catered delicious meals, served by a woman dressed as a French maid in mesh stockings, to people slowly dying, ebbing, drifting towards an end that inexorably closes over them like dried flowers in a book. Paul is gone, like Gordon, David, Richard, Gary, Thomas, Charles, and Bruce. Gone to see Death's Ferry to catch a glimpse of you as you wait for them in all your glory. Say, Papa.
Wow. Beautiful.
Wow. That's really beautiful. I couldn't help but think of my father because I have a transgender sister and he won't talk to my sister now. It's so sad.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Well, Max Reef, before he left for Myrtle Beach, introduced us to his project and to these men who lived in the Folsom Hotel, which is run by the charities, Catholic Charities, for people who were living with AIDS. And so we would go once a week and play canasta, my 9-year-old son and my wife at the time. And then we went to Ward 5, which Elizabeth Taylor funded. And I was looking at these men who weren't much older than I, and we were men, human beings. And I looked at this hollowness in their eyes and this, and reaching out within to connect. And I felt such compassion for them. I didn't care what they had done or sanskaras or whatever. These were souls who were just left stranded, sometimes by wealthy people, just to die because they no longer served a function. They weren't useful anymore. So I wanted to memorialize them so that if these poems live, then they will not be forgotten. So I have another tearjerker if you're interested.
Yeah.
Guzzle O. I am 5, but I shall die tomorrow. I cannot feel my swollen stomach, the ache that turns the color of my childhood into gray and soon to blackness. I cannot move. I cannot think. My life has been in vain. Do other children run and play? I hope so, for I have never. Sadness and lethargy have enshrouded me since birth. I sucked at breasts that had no milk and supped more on dust than rice. Why was I born to suffer and die a nameless death? My body placed in the grave among thousands of the same, with none to mourn my passing because all who knew me will be gone. I have spent 5 years upon this earth. For what? to learn that life is an empty dream that walks on fragile legs, that all is grayness and despair till death relieves us of our pain. I could have learned that when I was older. Why, now at 5? I know that other children play, one at me. Why is hunger all I know? A cry pierces my lips. Lord, I'm dying. Over and over, I feel the children dying. I feel their loves ground down for lack of rice and water. I cannot bear the pain. Lord, have you no pity on them? Do something to help them. Relieve the misery in the world. Omnipotent one, have you no compassion? Michael, now you have an inkling of the pain I suffer. For everyone is a part of me, and I a part of them. For ages and ages I come down to earth and remind men to consider what they do to others. Instead of releasing the tears of guilt, they crucify me on the cross of their conscience. If you feel the pain of others, this world I gave to you as paradise will you regain. Take care of each other, for you are all one family, mine. The little boy I can help by giving him eternal bliss. What you can do is feed him.
Oh. Ooh, beautiful. Can you read the portion that what Baba says in response?
Okay. Michael, now you have an inkling of the pain I suffer. For everyone is a part of me, and I a part of them. For ages and ages I come down to earth and remind men to consider what they do to others. Instead of releasing the tears of guilt, they crucify me on the cross of their conscience. If you feel the pain of others, this world I gave to you as paradise will you regain. Take care of each other, for you are all one family, mine. The little boy I can help by giving him eternal bliss. What you can do is feed him.
Beautiful. Wow. I know. Very touching. Ooh. How about one more?
Okay. I'll give you another AIDS poem. We have a friend who has AIDS. This means he's dying. Every day comes as a gift. Tomorrow is his last. He is gay, a king, no less. Sophisticated and witty. Barbs pour off his tongue, stabbing everyone in sight, and vituperatively destroys humanity with his words as his disease destroys him. A vain attempt to stave off the pain that eats him, living in a tiny room stuffed with stuffed animals, pictures of naked men and penises pinned on the wall, keeping his queens in line. He shares the hidden world of gayness, the language and its pride. Crowded in his little room, we play canasta as drug pimps come and go, leaving victims who are robbed and killed for the drugs used to obfuscate their fear of dying like pariahs, unwanted and unknown, slowly consumed, bit by bit, swallowed by the earth in one gulp and then forgotten. But I remember, and you, omniscient one, you hold them in your arms forever.
Wow. Ooh. Oh.
Wow. I lost so many friends back when I worked in restaurants back in the early 80s.
Yeah.
God, or mid 80s.
Where were you?
Chicago.
Chicago?
Yeah. Actually, it was not 80s. It was 90. When did I move here? 90. Oh, yeah, it was 86. I moved here.
Well, that was the height of the epidemic.
Yeah, we had the huge AIDS quilt in Grant Park. but I lost, we all lost friends, in the arts especially.
Yeah. Hey,
Can I
Telly.
read?
Beautiful.
Oh,
Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Can I read two lines of what he said about Bhav Kalchuri? He says, why you complain about pain of separation and why you are crying now, since when you have love, so have patience, only patience and only patience.
yeah. Read that again, VJ.
Why you complain about pain of separation and why you keep crying? Since now you have loved, so have patience, only patience and only patience.
Yeah, beautiful. Hey, Telly, any chance you could sing Take My Life and Let It Be Consecrated unto Thee?
I could do that. I got to grab my guitar.
This is, I think, isn't this the song that Baba said? This is Vedanta in a nutshell. Some like work, some like play. When you do it for me, it is all the same. This is Vedanta in a nutshell. Something like that. Maybe Mayor Prasad remembers it better than I do. But Baba said the meaning of the song is, it's a very deep meaning.
Take my life and let it be consecrated, Lord, to Thee. Take my hands and let them move at the impulse of Thy love. Take my moments and my days, let them flow in ceaseless praise. Take my feet and let them be swift and beautiful for Thee. Take my voice and let it sing, always only for my King. Take my lips and let them be filled with messages from Thee. Take my silver and my gold, not a mite would I withhold. Take my intellect and use all its powers as Thou shalt choose. Take my will, for it is Thine. It shall be no longer mine. Take my heart, it is Thine own. It shall be Thy royal throne. Take my love, my Lord, and pour at Thy feet and it shall be ever only all for thee. For thee.
Oh, beautiful, Telly. Mm.
Thank you.
Wow.
Nicely done. Beautiful.
Yeah. And sing from such a beautiful place. You know, I just to change pace here, I'm going to share a little story that that I was told a number of times. There was a woman named Naju Kotwal, and she was the daughter of Savat Kotwal, who was Baba's night watchman from probably the late 30s into the early 50s. He was one of them besides Balkal Churi and Krishna Nair and various ones who did the night duty. And so they lived at, originally from Bombay, and then they came to Mehrabad, and they lived there. And so Naju was about 10, and her sister, I think, was about 6. And so we're talking about the late 30s. And when they weren't going to school, Baba sent them to kind of private schools. But then on all their time and summers, they would go up on the hill and they would be with the women mandali, with Kitty and Elizabeth and Norina and Mara and Mani and all of them. And at that time, Naju would take you around, and the compound, the stone wall around the converted water tank, Baba had all the practically a zoo up there, all these different animals, peacocks, monkeys, deer, goats. And she would be able to go down when she was a little girl, just where each one of these animals was being kept. And, of course, when she would take us around, it's all barren, nothing's happening in those, but it was a very thriving zoo, as well as the ashram for the women mandali. But anyway, so she had a lovely time, heavenly time. She used to call Baba her big daddy. It's my big daddy. Anyway, so so now we go, that was from the 30s. So now we go to the East-West Gathering, 1962. And, they went back to Bombay, and she became a nurse and all of that. But she, during this period, she would go with her mom and some of the old ladies and see Baba at Guru Prasad in Pune. And so now this was the East-West Gathering, and they hadn't seen Baba in a year. And they were like dying to see him and just didn't have the opportunity. So they went from Bombay to Pune, and the East-West Gathering was going to begin at 9 in the morning. So they got to the gates of Guru Prasad at about 6:30. They wanted to be close to the dais, get in and be close to the dais where Baba would be. And so they were there right up next to the gate. And then thousands of people started coming. And there were 2 gates. And when it came to 9 o'clock, they opened one gate and they forgot to open the other gate. And they didn't open their gate, and they were just getting crushed. They were having to hold the bars to keep from getting crushed. And Baba inside, and they actually calling out to Baba, Baba, save us, because it was, there were thousands of people, and people didn't know what was happening up front. And Baba inside, you know, heard them and said, send someone out there, go out and check the gates. And they went out, and sure enough, one of the gates wasn't open. So eventually they got in, and she was so disappointed because now she was many, many seats back from, and so Baba was way up in the dais, far away, and she just felt terrible, you know, like she said to her mom, mother, you know, that he can't even see us. You know, he doesn't even know we're here. And her mom said, you stupid, you know, he's God. He knows we're here, you know. But she was not consoled. And, you know, she's a young woman. And she's kind of in tears, you know, and she's sitting there and watching people come up. And now they're coming up and bowing to Baba, and they're getting their prasad and going on. And at one point, she got fixated on this old man who came up, and he had a little garland. It was, you know, a very small one made of silk, kind of probably lace and everything. And he came up and he put it on Baba's knee and, you know, bowed before Baba and got his prasad and went on his way. And somehow she saw that little garland on Baba's knee, and Baba started twirling this in between people coming and bowing to him. He was twirling this little garland around his pointer finger into, she could, you know, barely make out, but into a little ball, you know, a small ball. And the next thing she knew, Baba just threw this thing, and whoa, it landed in her hands. I mean, many people, many chairs back. I mean, she was on about the 30th row or something. It lands in her hand. She gets up. Oh, you know, she gets up and just, oh, Baba, thank you. You know, and Baba just kind of whatever he did. But I mean, so she had that ball to this day, you know, so precious, you know, and that's how he acknowledged. And Mama said, see, he knows you're here. So it's a beautiful thing, and it meant the world to her, because back in those years, you didn't get to see Baba so much. You know, he was withdrawing more and more. If you read this book, I think it's Intimate Times at Guru Prasad. And in the early years, Baba's there and he's giving darshan, he's seeing people, music and everything. And just year by year, you see he's less and less available, and until he basically says goodbye. That's Naju Kotwal, a little short lady. I had something that I read earlier, but I want to just see if there's anyone else has something to share. Betty, you look like you're nice and relaxed there.
Michelle has something.
What's that?
Michelle has a song that Michael Childs sort of inspires her to.
So. Oh, go for it.
Marvin, no, actually inspired Marvin to ask me to sing. So this is Marvin's request.
Okay.
Hold on. You know, I'm going to switch chairs with him.
Oh.
He's happy now. Here, let's take all the time up.
Hey, yeah.
You know, I was thinking about when Michael, you were reading the poem about the 5-year-old, and Norina, when they would go to India, Norina would always ask Baba, "You're God, can't you fix this? Can't you, fix the poverty? Can't you do something?" And finally, one day, Baba gave her the sight, and she stopped asking. I guess see karma or lives. That doesn't make me feel any better about it. Anyway, this song is called Love Never Fails. Tethered to this life unknowing, one day to be seared by rapture's longing. The storm surge rushes in, the story never ends. Caught up in the wake, the sacrifice you face shifts and changes life without warning. All else may fail, love never fails. Therein lies a seed we're sowing. Love never fails. Love never fails. Stirred by the moon's waxing and waning, like the tide bound by all its phases. The fragrance of the breeze, the turning of the key, the ember and the spark that smolder in your heart, set ablaze by your soul's deepest yearnings. All else may fail, love never fails. Therein lies the seed we're sowing. Love never fails. Love never fails. All else may fail, love never fails. Therein lies a seed we're sowing. Love never fails. Love never fails. Love never fails.
Ooh. Beautiful, Michelle. Lovely. What was that? Was that Saint Teresa who said that, or
said what? Love never fails.
Yeah, that was one of the saints, huh?
I thought Baba said it. All else may I fail, but love never fails.
Yeah, I think you're right there too.
So
yeah.
I don't know.
You know, I don't know if this is related, but there's a couplet by a poet, one of the saints, mystics, Sufi mystics named Sarmad, who said, "In the battle of love, none but the lovers are slain. The weak and wicked escape from injury. O you who are the true lover, flee not from the battle. Those who are not killed are dead to love."
Yeah. Can you say that again? Oh my.
In the battle of love, none but the lovers are slain. The weak and wicked escape from injury. O you who are the true lover, flee not from the battle. Those who are not killed are dead to love.
Mm. Wow.
There's a whole story about him that Erich used to tell. You know, one thing that I read this earlier, but I didn't intend to read it earlier on the effort and grace. But this was something that Darwin told me. He had a cosmic experience in reading this particular passage of Baba's. And it's interesting. I had read it some days before, and it was really stunned me. And this is the scene that Bao Kaochuri would describe. He was, they were in Satara with Baba. This is, I guess, in the 50s. And there were two of these servant boys who their job was to make the chai in the early morning, have it ready by 6 o'clock. And Alaba was in charge of these two boys. And he woke them up at 5 to start the chai and everything. And for some reason, they went back to sleep. And so when Baba came over at 6:15, the chai wasn't ready. And Alaba was furious. And he kicked their door and pushed them around. I don't know how physically he got with them, but Alaba treated him very roughly, to the extent that the other Mandali were upset with his behavior. It was terrible. And so later on in the afternoon, Baba was walking from one of the cottages to the other with Alaba on one side and Bao Kaochuri on the other. And Baba asked, Bao, what are you thinking? And Bao, nothing, Baba, nothing, but Baba persists and he gets out of him. Well, I was troubled, upset by Alaba's behavior this morning with the boys. And Baba said, you should go to an ashram, one of the ashrams in the north, where you can live a virtuous life and live a very peaceful life. And Bao was kind of taken aback. He didn't know he was going to get that out of Baba. And when you want to go to another ashram, and Bao assures him he doesn't. So then this is what Baba says to him. And this is the thing that had a powerful impact on Darwin when he read it, and also myself. This is what Baba said to him. Listen closely. With me, no one can live what the world considers a moral life. Here we are concerned with spirituality, not morals. A spiritual life is not ruled nor bound by any principles. The sanskars of each one are different, and so the behavior and temperament of everyone are different. In a virtuous life, evil is suppressed and good surfaces, but the evil is still there. The bad impressions remain and have to be worked out, if not in this life, then in the next or the one after. In the spiritual life, both good and bad sanskars express themselves and both get nullified. A spiritual life leads one towards naturalness, whereas a virtuous life, in the guise of humility, inflates the ego and perpetuates it. A spiritual life, though, is only led under the guidance and orders of the avatar or a perfect master, who knows the pulse of everyone and treats everyone according to his or her particular malady. You don't like Alaba's behavior, but his behavior was quite natural and necessary for him. How can you understand that? People of the world act according to moral standards and socially acceptable behavior. But the avatar or perfect master deals with everyone according to his or her sanskaras. Thus, spiritual life is totally different and cannot be judged on the basis of morality, ethics, or any principle. Smiling, Baba asked Bao, now tell me, which ashram do you intend to go to? None, Bao says. The fact was that Bao was sympathetic towards the boys because he himself was under the thumb of Alaba's rough treatment. Baba had ordered him to do as Alaba instructed, and Bao had to do much of the hard work, such as cleaning the lanterns and bicycles, sweeping, weeding the garden, draining dirty house water, besides attending to Hindi correspondence, escorting Baba back and forth to his bungalow, and writing work, etc. Alaba would always find some extra work for him and tell him to do it. That too with much harshness, demanding it to be done immediately. But for Bao, it was all a great lesson in forbearance. And Baba himself was creating such situations. He would create strife between the Mandali members so that none would be partial to another. Then he writes, life with Meher Baba was like walking on the edge of a sword, walking on it even though crippled in one leg. Such a life cannot be imagined. Daily one had to bear lightning-like blows, yet strangely one would be in such a condition that although pained by the words, one would not like to be left unharmed without them. On the one hand, the mind would reel under the attack, but on the other, the heart would desire more punishment. Thus, because of the continuous shower of blows to the ego, the mind was becoming powerless and the heart strong. Such was the spiritual life with the God-man. I don't know if that comes across. Welcome to the Baba ashram life.
So does that mean we get to misbehave when we feel like we?
Yeah.
If we have to misbehave, we misbehave. It's better to misbehave than repress that. No, I'm just kidding. And
yeah, no. Try whatever and just see.
No, I know. Right.
But the interesting thing is that, I mean, I've said before that someone at the center asked Bao Kalchuri, you know, is there a new person? Is there a formula for following Baba? And he said, yes, there is a formula, but it's a formula-less formula. There's a formula, but it's a formula that can't be formulated. And this reminds me of that connects with this. And it made a deep impact on me. There was one guy at Lower Mehrabad when they had the Western residents, and they were always dysfunctional and conflicts between the turf wars and authority and all of that. These among these young Westerners and Easterners there. And they were always having problems, and they would come to the Mandali and try to get them to resolve the situations. But one day this guy comes and he says to Erich, why don't you and Mani come and just lay down the law? Tell them how we should behave, what would please Baba. You know, this is just unacceptable. And Erich said to him, oh, you know what would please Baba. He said, we never knew for certain what would please Baba. And this is Erich saying this. We would do what we thought would please Baba, and he would be displeased. Or something we were sure would be displease Baba, and he would inquire about it and actually be pleased with it. He said we could never figure out, and this is Erich, who spent all these years with Baba, he could never figure out really for certain what would please Baba and what would displease Baba. Because you can please Baba, but if there's a little bit of the ego in there, Baba's going to be displeased. And then you could displease Baba, you do something that you think would be Baba's displeasure, but if you were humbled by it, and then Baba would be pleased. So there was something about that, the humility that came from Erich, that I can't really say that I really know. And if there was anybody on the face of the earth, from my standpoint, who had the most knowing, I would say it was Erich. And he would say, I can't be certain. Anyway, I don't know if that made a powerful impression on me, because I was probably like that guy complaining about, Baba, why don't you do something here and kind of in this community and try to, straighten things out. But, Baba said to this guy, you're asserting that shows that you don't know. Anyway, I was very, that is something to ponder, all of that. And like I say, for Darwin, I think Darwin felt that there's got to be some kind of moral unity to life and something you could depend upon, but it's even beyond that. Love is beyond that, you might say. Anyway, anyone have any what comments about that?
There's something.
Mark Riney's song, Always Wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, that reminded me of that. I once asked Balkalchuri, what was the attitude that you had to have around Baba? I said, if Baba was finding fault with me and disapproving of me, it'd be very hard for me just to continue serving him in the spirit he would want me to serve him in if he was hammering me the way he did you, Mandali. What was the spirit that you had to have around Baba to be able to serve him year after year? And he said, this was the attitude you had to have, that we all had. Whether you are right or whether you are wrong, you are always wrong. And he said, because if you were ever really right once, you would no longer be here. Because the ego can perpetuate itself through being right or through being wrong. So that is the challenge. Incredible. Whether you're right or you are wrong, you are always wrong. And that was the attitude that they had to have in order just to hang in there with Baba year after year.
I've got some stories from Ralph Brown.
Yeah.
Who worked with Erich with correspondence. Two little stories.
Yeah.
One was a letter that a woman wrote, or I guess it was a woman, who said it had to be held in the strictest of confidence. Nobody should know about it but Erich, I guess. And Erich says, opening the letter, there's no secrets here. And then the other story that Ralph said was somebody wrote to Erich and asked him to summarize in one word what his experience, his lifetime of experience with Meher Baba was. And he thought about it. I don't know for how long, but he thought about it and came up with two. I'll give you two, he said. Humiliation and embarrassment.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, so many of the mandali, they use basically three adjectives to describe their life with Baba: humiliation, exhaustion, and frustration. I mean, all variants off of those three words. I mean, Arti, and I've mentioned this before, that Arti said on several occasions in the early 70s, he said if he hadn't gotten into Baba, he would have been a great saint with a large following. And instead, he's gotten himself volunteered to, instead had experienced frustration, humiliation, and exhaustion day after day after day with Baba. These guys gave up paradise to take care of Baba down here on the physical plane. and Arti was always having to balance Baba's books. He was, doing the finances, among other things. And they would come to the end of the month. He would never know how they would be able to make it another month. And then some money would come through. And he just never had any confidence that things were going to balance, and they just limped by month after month. So exalted to dust. That was what Francis Brabazon called the mandali. They were exalted to dust. Anyway. Let's see if we got anybody here. We can, Alan, are you around?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't know how to.
I don't know if I.
Are you at home?
No, I'm in my car, but if you can hear me, then it works, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate that story you were sharing with that struck you and Darwin, or that quote of Baba's. That was very powerful. Yeah.
There's a deep meaning to that. It kind of bears pondering. Let's see, Mayor Prasad. Yeah, Diane, what do you got? Oh, you were waving to somebody.
Michelle.
We're boring. I know it's much later for you, Jeff, but
yeah.
Okay, Baba.
Alan, anything from your end?
Yeah. I was at work the other day, and I was just sitting there and not really particularly stressed or anything. I was just in the middle of going from one thing to another. And then I decided, well, hey, I should listen to some music. So I put on I put on the music from the Final Embrace, actually. I was listening to that video, and I wasn't really watching the Baba embracing people. I was just listening to the beautiful music, and I suddenly was just really just as if I could just reach out and I could touch his hand. He was right there, and I was just struck in awe, because I was like, right now, Baba, like I'm in the middle of, I didn't even ask for, I was just, all right. And it was completely, my heart was just broken and at the same time opened, and I just couldn't do anything. It was just overwhelming effulgence of his presence in the entire room. And I suddenly, it was as if there was this answer to my question of, I think I'd asked you over Zoom, do you think there's some people that maybe don't come across the avatar out of the 8,400,000 something lifetimes? And that simple question was answered to me very deeply within my heart, because not only did I feel a real, it was an experience of the real recognition that I was with him as not only as Christ, but out of the millions of lifetimes, he said, you and basically something about the word ancient. I can't put it into words exactly, but that's how I am the ancient one, and you are just, you are ancient as well. Like, we are all who are with him now are ancient and have been with him beyond just Zoroaster or whoever. I mean, all the lifetimes. If you expand it past, how many avatars is that? How many times maybe I was a stone that he picked up, or that somebody gave to an avatar at one point and said, "My Lord, I give this to you," and my soul was part of that stone that he touched to his head, and now I'm here and I'm talking to you about Meher Baba. So it also was a thing of, you didn't miss me. You didn't miss my form. You will see me again. You know what I mean? It was a very clear indication. Like, I've always felt like, well, I miss Baba. I miss Baba's form. I didn't get to see him in this lifetime as Alan, and I've been very sad about that. And it was a real experience. It's like, no, actually, you will see me, that ancient one, again. It's not a question, and that really lifted my spirit. So anyways, Thanks for listening.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's hard to imagine that he has been following each one of us from ancient times, and we just haven't been watching him. He enjoys our company, and we're kind of getting to enjoy his company more and more. Yeah. Payam, what are you up to? Let's see what Payam is. She's probably making dinner there in California.
Hi, Jeff.
Yeah.
You're very
How are
intuitive.
You? What's that?
You're very intuitive.
Uh-huh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just riffing, like, what's going on? So I'm enjoying everything everyone's sharing. This is the Baba hour time, I guess. And boy, do I need it. I feel like during the week I'm intensely working, and then the week I have to kind of dive into Baba land and separate myself with all the Zooms and reading, just so I can get back into work mode. Yeah.
No, beautiful. I know, like on some Monday mornings, I'd have to really start focusing on Baba. I mean, when I was working out in the world, just to be prepared for another week.
Yes.
I get up at 5 in the morning, just try to get centered in Baba before going in there and getting bashed in the head.
Yeah, but it helps to remember him at the, like, Darwin was told at the East-West gathering, and I think it's in the Effort and Grace book. Start your day with Baba, remember him at noon, and at 5, and before you go to sleep. So that helps.
Yeah, dress your soul with Baba, is what Baba said.
Exactly. Yes, but it's an effort.
Yeah, but eventually it just becomes, you can do it at any time during the day. Not even just those hours, but it becomes something you can enjoy at will. Yeah, let's see. Good to see you. And what do you go ahead.
No, I was just echoing back. It's always wonderful to be here. Another, constantly reflecting Baba's hand in our life. And it's wonderful to be with all of you. We are all going through it, one way or another.
Yeah. No, and it's, we're all, no, I mean, these kind of gatherings, especially the Effort and Grace, you find out everybody is really having different versions of the same thing. You know,
Yes.
the same struggles, the same efforts, the same breakthroughs, all of that. It's all shared.
Yes. And you know, when we share, or I hear all of you share, it gives me perspective. So it's easy to get in a tunnel vision sometimes about one's life, my life. So then I zooming out, so to speak. And that brings, and that helps.
Yeah, you see that everybody is really quite like you. And so this sense of separation gets dissolved a bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, well, give my love to your mom and dad and Ellie. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Glenn. And
yes.
I want to see what Dinku's doing. Dinku, are you
Hi, Jeff.
Anything from your end?
No, nothing really. Just listening to all your wonderful stories and songs.
Yeah, and we'll get, and Michael, the child, some of his poetry, and it's been quite beautiful.
Yeah, loved it. Very touching.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Well, anybody, anything, Mayor Prasad, you got anything over there?
Yeah, I thought in the Fredella meeting yesterday that the song about the bridge was so beautiful. The name of the song was The Bridge.
Yeah.
I loved it so much. It was there was a lot of longing in that song, and it's very beautiful.
It was written by a guy named David Wilcox, who's kind of in his own field, a well-known folk singer. And he wrote it on his way home from the center.
I see.
Yeah.
I have a ghazal from Francis Brabazon.
Yeah. Okay, go for it.
I think it is from the East-West Gathering. I'm not sure, but I have it here. Although you have not received love's guerdon, one day this desert will become a garden, so be not grieved. Do not turn your heart away, nor expostulate against the beloved, but bear your present state, and be not grieved. Let this disgusted mind and troubled heart be stilled. One day desire for union will be fulfilled, so be not grieved. Behind the curtain, a secret game is being played that you know not, so don't give up nor be dismayed or grieved. Once you have set out for the beloved's abode, do not let mere stones and thorns turn you from the road, or be much grieved. Maya will do her best to thwart you from your labor, but when you have a captain like Noah, you will reach safe harbor, so be not grieved. When this friend is the same as God, don't plague him with petitions, but suffer gladly love's rules, trials, and conditions, and be not grieved. This is
translation of Hafiz.
Yeah.
By Jim Myers sings the song. It goes something like, although you have not received love's guerdon, one day this desert will become a garden. So be not grieved, be not grieved. It's a beautiful song that if you can ever get a copy of that, you put that
Baba
to music.
Translated it.
Huh?
Baba translated it, apparently.
Oh, was it Baba?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Hafiz wrote it, but Baba translated it.
Uh-huh. I guess I got it wrong. I thought Baba got Francis to put it into different English, but Baba did speak. I mean, Baba knew Farsi, whereas Francis wouldn't have known. Yeah, let me see who's. Hey, Marge, are you there? Ah. Oh, she's there. Do you feel like reading anything? Anything from your place there? Hey, so while we're waiting, or if she does get something, Michael, you got another another poem there?
Yes, hold on.
You're in mute, Michael.
You are muted, yeah.
How about this? Guzzle C. It's 7 o'clock and twilight falls gently gray upon the hills. The sky's blue deepens into the silvery hues of butterfly wings, while wispy clouds resonate with the sun's last cry as it disappears into the darkness, leaving me in darkness, brooding, sinking into the quagmire of my mind, where light is but a memory, a fairy tale of homilies, platitudes, and lies, of pleasures lost and pain remembered, heartbreak and despair, of childhood's hopes and myths destroyed by cruelty and deceit. When my thoughts are spiraled into blackness and my heart feels like stone, I think of thee, fey lover, who teases me with bliss, who strips me of all that I possess and laughs at my nakedness. The sun will dawn tomorrow. I will gaze upon your brilliance, and blinded will become the sun, unblemished by the night.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ooh. Well, Kelly, you have anything over there?
Let's see. Excuse me. I came across some Hafez. So this is called The Rose. I'm not sure whose translation this is. How did the rose ever open its heart and give to this world all of its beauty? It felt the encouragement of light against its being. Otherwise, we all remain too frightened. Hafez.
That's Dan Ladinsky.
That's what I wondered.
My old roommate.
That was actually a Rumi poem?
I don't know if it was Rumi or Hafiz. I mean, I know that's his, but I can't remember what part of the collection
right
is his. Let me just see.
It's Hafiz, Jeff. This is Jan. It's Hafiz.
Oh.
I remember it really well. Yeah.
Was that the one you read?
I didn't read it. This is Janet.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought that was
joined in and I heard it and I just know that it's Hafiz. Yeah.
Here's one that I like very much. And it this is how I think Baba is. It's a kind of version of Hafiz, but it has a deep truth to it. It's called perfect equanimity. Look how a mirror will reflect with perfect equanimity all actions before it. There's no act in this world that will ever cause the mirror to look away. There's no act in this world that will ever make the mirror say no. The mirror, like perfect love, will keep giving of itself to all before it. How did the mirror ever get like that? So polite, so grand, so compassionate. Yes, the mirror remembers the beloved, looking into itself as the beloved shaped existence's heart and the mirror's soul. My eye has the nature of God. Hafiz looks upon all with perfect equanimity. My poems will never tell you no, because the mirror is not like that. And if God ever hits you with a don't, he has his fingers crossed. He's just fibbing for your own good. I'll read that. This is and if God ever hits you with a don't, he has his fingers crossed. He's just fibbing for your own good. Because I asked the Mandali, is Baba ever really displeased? And not really, but he acts displeased to keep you from doing something that's not in your best interests. So Baba, you can look at, sometimes I'll look at a smiling photograph of Baba, and I'm contemplating something that's kind of selfish or unkind or something like that. And Bob will suddenly, from the smiling photograph, he'll shoot a disapproving look, you know? And so, aha, I better not do that. You know, it's kind of like that. Shams, you have something.
I sing one poem.
Yeah.
Written by Rumi, translated by someone I don't know, someone has sent me. It is only a tiny rosebud. It's only a tiny rosebud. A flower of God design. A flower of God design. But I cannot unfold the petals. I cannot unfold the petals with these clumsy hands of mine, with these clumsy hands of mine. The secret, it's on the secret of unfolding flowers. The secret of unfolding flowers is not known to such as I. God opened this flower so sweetly. God opened this flower so sweetly. When my in hand they fade and die. In my hand they fade and die. If I cannot unfold a rosebud, if I cannot unfold a rosebud, this flower of God design, then how can I think I have wisdom? How can I think I have wisdom to unfold this life of mine, to unfold this life of mine? I will trust in him for his leading. I will trust in him for his leading each moment of every day. I will look to him for his guidance. I will look to him for his guidance each step of the pilgrim way. Each step of the pilgrim way. The pathway that lies before me, pathway that lies before me, only my Father in heaven knows. I will trust him to unfold the moments. I will trust him to unfold the moments, just as he unfold the rose, just as he unfold the rose, just as he unfold the rose. Avtar Meher Baba ki jai.
Beautiful, Sham. Dinku, that sounds very much like the poem that you sent me.
Mm-hmm.
She sent, Dinku sent that translation, very much like what you just sang.
Okay, and Dinku might have put it in the group from where I take.
Yeah, maybe so.
There is
Beautiful.
a group in Baba's lab.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, how are we doing for time here? Anybody have something? Jasima? Oh, go ahead. Anything from your end? Jasima?
Jeff. Like earlier we were talking about misbehavior and its expression of their samskaras, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but once we express these bad samskaras, we get binded to new bad samskaras, right? So how that explain? I mean,
yeah, like how come Alaba? Will this kind of bind Alaba? That
right.
Kind of expression.
Right.
A good question. Let me ponder that.
I don't think so. Because Baba is responsible for the sanskaras that Alaba has. And since he surrendered to Baba, Baba is responsible. So whatever happens to Alaba is God's will.
That was beautiful. That's excellent. And not that anybody else that wasn't surrendered to him would probably, it would be binding. But he's put his spiritual unfoldment in Baba's hands. Whoop! I've somehow sorry here. Yeah, excellent answer, Michael. Didn't that sound right?
Yeah, that's right, Jeff. But
ordinary people doing the same. Yeah. Ordinary people doing the same thing is going to be binding.
Right.
But he's working out his good and bad under Baba's working, under Baba's aegis.
Yeah, it is true for him, but others, like ordinary people, it doesn't really fit.
Yeah.
Well, there's the prayer of repentance to guide you.
Yeah.
If you do harm to anybody, hurt them, the prayer of repentance says no, don't do it. So that to me is the standard of actually the new humanity that we all have to adhere to, not because we have to, but because that's the standard.
The very end of the who can give me the very end of the prayer of repentance? And forgive us,
O Lord, for all our sins and for our constant failures to think and speak and act according to your will.
Yeah, there Bob is saying our constant failures. It's not like we're going to get over it. I mean, he's assuming that we're going to continue that into the future. Our constant failures to think and speak and act according to your will. It's not like, like it's a done deal.
So much for self-righteousness.
It's going to go on. But amazing thing is you're going to get realization right in the middle of nowhere. It's not like you reach a high point of virtue and goodness and then you get realization. You could be in the middle of washing the dishes and that's your time.
There was a story about this one man who needed to kill 100 people before he was God realized. And he done 99 and he had to sit in the middle of a intersection.
Yeah. That's a story told by Baba. Yeah.
Yeah, it is during Buddha Avatar, I think. There is a person called Anguli Mala. So he used to kill people and he used to cut their fingers and wear it as a garland. I think after killing 100 people, Buddha comes to him and I guess he gives the realization or he makes him disciple.
Well, the way Baba describes it, he had killed 99 people and suddenly he felt tremendous remorse, and a perfect master had him sit in the middle of this place and repeat the name of Ram, which he did for many, many years. And he could go out in the village and get food, and had to sit there and go on saying Ram's name. And then somehow they changed the road, and it turned out he was in the middle of the road. And so at one point there's a horseman from one of the kings was on his way to the other kingdom. And he came upon this guy in the middle of the road, and I think he even took it and whipped him, with his whip from his horse. And that inspired this whatever his name was, and he ripped him off of his horse and killed him and got realization. And why did he get realization? Because the man the horseman was taking an order, a decree from the other king to have 100 people killed. And so by killing the messenger, he saved 100 people. And that offset his 100 murders. So that's Baba gave that as a figure. I don't know if you Mayor Prasad, you remember that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It goes something like that.
Yeah.
So it's not like, well, here's something you won't, I've never seen it in print, but I heard it from Margaret Krask many times. They were up on the hill, the women Mandali, in the, I guess, late 30s, early 40s, and Hitler was conquering one country after another. And some of those women up there were from like England. Kitty she was wondering whether she should go back when London was being bombed and help her family and all that. There were people from various countries in Europe. And so they were very disturbed. And there was conversation going on. Baba came up the hill and he asked what they're talking about, and they talked about this Hitler. How can such an evil man exist? How can he get away with this? And that was going on. And Baba listened to it, and then Baba spelled out on the alphabet board about Hitler. How can such an evil man exist? And Baba spelled out on the alphabet board, did you ever consider that he might be suffering from an excess of good? And the implication is that in his past life, he was very good, but he overdid it. Instead of swinging from good to love, he swung way over to the extreme of evil. Do you follow that? In other words, just going on and increasing in your good, you can swing back to evil rather than swinging toward love. And so you get a monster.
I think the best image is that of a pendulum.
Yeah.
Because if you leave a pendulum alone, it'll keep on swinging until it balances and just comes to a standstill. And that's when your sanskaras are all balanced. And that's what I understand to be the moment of God realization.
Yeah.
But what do I know?
Yeah. No, that's right. I mean, Baba gave...
You have theories.
Baba gave that figure of the pendulum. But like I say, he swung way over.
I think the 99 murder example was an example of balancing of sanskaras, that he was telling that in the context of that.
Yeah, that was it. The 99 murders were balanced by the 100 lives that were saved by killing the messenger, pulling him off his horse. Yeah. Well, what do you say? Anybody have anything else before we pull up the tent? And Janet Jacobs, anything from you?
Well, I just am curious about that poem you read about the mirror.
Yeah.
Where was that from? That was just wonderful.
Yeah. That is from Love Poems from God. And
that one's from Love Poems from God.
Yeah. It's in the Hafiz section, and it's yeah. Danny is really, I said to Danny, this is kind of like Erich in poetry. And he said, yeah.
Okay. And I mean, I've got that book with me right this minute, and it's in the Hafiz section.
Yeah.
And
perfect equanimity.
Perfect equanimity. Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
But yeah. Muncie, let's see. Muncie. I don't know if I know Muncie. We haven't seen Dinesh's face. Ah.
Hey, you're talking about Naju, and I actually am getting close to finishing this book, He Gives the Ocean. But one of the things that really touched me about that towards the end, before Baba left his body, Naju was invited to, I think it was Dara and Amrit's wedding. I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
And because her mother was in England visiting her other daughter, she was invited by the Mandali women to take her mother's place. And so she went, and it was a very kind of like personal and private wedding. And she hadn't seen Baba in a while. And again, it was like, there was some earlier part of the book where Hilla, her sister, talks about she hadn't seen Baba from like 1955. And then she saw him in like 1965. And it was like just this huge, the huge difference of how frail he looked, and how, from 55 to 65 was a huge difference.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, this was November 1968 that Naju.
December, yeah.
December 20 something. So it was really close. And the fact that I think they were saying that nobody was to touch Baba, and she really, really wanted to, and just wanted to be closer to him. And she went up to Baba, for his darshan when it was her turn, and Baba was like turned and talking to somebody as she was up, and so she felt very hurt by that. And she went back to her seat, and she was trying to cover her tears up, and just make sure that like no one wrapped her sari around herself like that. She people wouldn't see her like sobbing at how upset she was that she didn't have that acknowledgement, that sweetness between her and Baba. And then as she saw some Western person, I forgot who it was, but Baba reached down and put his hand out, and the person kissed Baba's hand, and that was just like too much. And she was just like, just started sobbing just uncontrollably. And there was these older Zoroastrian women near her, and they were like, what are you doing? Like, they were like disturbed by her grieving. Like, you're supposed to be happy. And at one moment, Mani said, is there anybody that would like to, share something or perform some sort of art or something with Baba? And she just immediately, Naju just stood up and was like, yes, I have something to perform or say. And so she went up to Baba and she said she sang a beautiful, beautiful poem, and just with tears in her eyes and just completely enveloped and so focused on Baba. And when she was done, he looked down at her with just such compassion and reached down his hand, and she was able to kiss his hand. And when she returned to her seat, the older Zoroastrian women were like, "Why did you sing such a sad song? This is a wedding." You know, like, you're trying to make us cry. Like, we're trying to celebrate. But yeah, that was the last time that she saw Baba. And it was just just reading that book, you just read about how shocking it was to people, even though he was giving out these little lines, like, this is the last time he said something really slick, like, this is the last time this form will give darshan, or something like that, like, where they're all like, what does that mean, Baba? Whatever. Like, but you know, he was just saying. But another thing was that Savak, her father, he was just like worked to the bone during those night watches, watching, and he was just so unbelievably exhausted that I don't know when it was, but it was at some point he like asked Baba if he could just leave, or he could stop. He couldn't go on. Physically, he was getting ill. He was just unable to do the night watch, and he felt so ashamed about it. And Baba, you know, had so much compassion, and he had to deal with that in his life with so much for the rest of his life. Just like he wished he could have just stuck it out. But he was taking up. He was doing so intensive. But I was reading that because he kind of rushed his coming to Baba when he was younger, there was something about Baba said, no, just wait a little bit before you join me, and then you can bring your wife and your, you know. But he just jumped in. He's like, he just brought his family, he brought himself, and and I wonder if that had something to do with, towards the end, there had to be some sort of wrapping up of, he wasn't able to play the whole, and that's another thing of like his karma, or completely, he tried his utmost, like he did everything he could possibly do to just stick it out. Like, he was so devoted to Baba, and he just couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. And, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, the you know, the song that she sang to Baba, Naju, it's a famous song. I don't know if Michael would know it. And the last line is "love you, but in vain." The last word is something, but to love you, but in vain. And Baba, when she sang it earlier to him, she said he changed it to "not in vain." I don't know if you remember that. It's a famous song, a classic. Telly, you know, if she sang it, you'd recognize it. But Baba had her change the last words. You know, I'm trying to love you and everything, but it's all in vain. And Baba said, no. I'm trying to love you, and you know, it's so difficult, but it's not in vain. All your attempts are not going to be in vain.
Oh yeah, that was a I think a poem she wrote. It was a poem she wrote to Baba, I think, because I'm looking at this thing. It's called the song is My God, and the last line is, however, from Meher Baba's divinity, we are not ever separate. But I remember what you're talking about. I think it was earlier. She wrote a poem.
Well, this is a famous song that she would sing, that I was familiar with. Anyway, hey, Dinesh, he has arrived. Gustaji is here.
Landed.
Hey, Baba. Hey, so anyway, well, let's have one last poem, unless there's something else. Unless VJ's got something, or Michael.
Well, I have something here, a quote. One of the paragraphs from the discourse on the New Humanity.
Okay.
Love and coercion can never go together, but while love cannot be forced upon anyone, it can be awakened through love itself. Love is essentially self-communicative. Those who do not have it catch it from those who have it. Those who receive love from others cannot be its recipients without giving a response which in itself is the nature of love. True love is unconquerable and irresistible. It goes on gathering power and spreading itself until eventually it transforms everyone it touches. Humanity will attain to a new mode of being in life through the free and unhappy to play of pure love from heart to heart.
Yeah.
Jai Baba.
That Baba had that quote in the barn in Myrtle Beach on the wall. Love is essentially self-communicative. Those who do not have it catch it from those who have it. But it goes just all that you just read. Well, Lanita, all we see is your forehead. I mean, your forehead is nice, but she's kind of in a rocking chair, you know, she kind of comes into view and then sinks back and then comes into view and see, yeah, she's rocking. Anyway, let's have a few moments of silence and we'll start the new day. I want to ask though, if you folks are up, I could see if I can get Erwin Luck to join us some evening and share his times with Baba. Did that appeal to you folks or?
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be wonderful.
I'll see if I can get him. He's very, very entertaining, and he was very young when he met Baba. And some great adventures. So I'm gonna, I'll see if I can do it on Tuesday. I'll see if I can twist his arm. It's kind of, you know, it's 10 o'clock at night, but well, you know, we'll see if he can do it. Okay, well, let's have a few moments of silence. Jai Baba. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah, see you guys.
Thank you, Jeff.
See you.
Go with Baba. Thank you all. Thank you, Michael, for
Thank you all.
Kelly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jai Baba.
Great.
Yeah.
Jai
Jai
Baba.
Baba. Much love.
Aad meher
Jai Baba.
Ki
Ki Jai.
Jai.
Avatar.
Baba
Baba
Ki
ki
Jai.
Baba
Baba
ki
Ki
Jai.
Jai.